Here is the challenge today. You've completed cross multiplication with simple numbers. Now we're going to be working on being able to still apply cross multiplication, but with more difficult numbers. For example, numbers that contain decimals. So let's see how we do. This is our practice. I'm going to start by recording parentheses, an equal sign, and another set of parentheses. I check and make sure that it's a proportion. I see an equal sign and two fractions. Remember, a proportion is when you have two equal fractions. I know I can apply cross multiplication to a proportion that has a missing variable. Number two, I cross multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a different color, and then I'm going to multiply across. And I'm going to place the 3.5 here, because I think it'll fit better in this set of parentheses on the left. And then I'm going to place the 4 over here. So I multiplied those two on the left. Then I'm going to multiply the 1.2 by the x and place that over here. Remember, the x goes second, the coefficient, the number should be in front. Now I'm going to practice multiplying with decimals. So I'm going to multiply 3.5 times 4. And this would be basically the same thing as just multiplying 35 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. I would do the same thing over here. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. I would do the same thing over here. The difference between these two is that on the left I have a decimal. So I would count one decimal place, and then I would need to move this decimal over once to get my answer. So this answer would be 14.0, which is the same as 14. So the product of 3.5 times 4 is 14. 1.2 multiplied by x is 1.2x. So we've completed step 2, which says cross multiply. Step 3 is to divide both sides by the coefficient. So 1.2 is being multiplied by x. So the inverse of multiplication is division. We're dividing both sides by 1.2 because 1.2 is the number that is keeping x from being alone. We're trying to isolate x, so we need to get rid of the 1.2. Now we need to take the 14 and divide it by 1.2. So I'll scroll down a bit and I'll write the 14. The numerator goes inside the house. The 1.2 goes on the outside. I'm thinking of that horse and the rider. The rider can go inside the house, but the horse has to stay outside. So rider, horse. From here, I'm not allowed to have a decimal in the number on the outside. So I'm going to have to move the decimal to the right once, which means I'll have to move the 14's decimal over to the right once. Well, I don't see a decimal. If you don't see a decimal, it's actually on the right side. And then I'm going to move it over one place, so I need to add a 0. This is now 12 on the outside. And then on the inside, we have 140. Now I ask myself, how many times does 12 go into 14? And that would be 1 time. 12 times 1 is 12. And 14 minus 12 is 2. I cannot ask the question until I bring down a number. 12 goes into 20 1 time. 12 times 1 is 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. Now I have 8 left over, and I need to bring something down, so I need to add a decimal. I'm going to go ahead and place that decimal up above, and then add a 0, which allows me to bring down a 0. 12 goes into 8. Well, 12 times 8 is too much. 12 times 7 is 84, still too much. 12 times 6 is 72. 80 minus 72 is 8. I want you to notice we're starting to see a pattern. We already had an 8. We bring down a 0. Well, guess what? 12 goes into 80 6 times again. We get 72. We subtract, we get an 8. This pattern will continue, so we can just go ahead and draw a line over the 6. So 14 divided by 1.2 is equal to 11.6, and this 6 repeats, so you can just draw a line over it. 1.2 divided by 1.2 equals 1, and 1x is the same thing as x. So our final answer is x equals 11.6 with a repeat symbol over the 6. We have now completed cross multiplication with decimals. We solved for the missing value. We got 11.6. So 3.5 over 11.6 is equal to this fraction, 1.2 over 4.